Assist, a helping hand with your land.
Neil from Essex here with the new Kubota BX23s. This is a new tractor in the BX series, replacing the BX25. Let's take a quick walk around here and we'll show you some of the changes. This is a really important model for us in Kubota's product line. Our dealership sells over 200 BX series tractors a year. So for us and our customers, this is a very well accepted and high volume model in our product range. When we go around the machine here, you can see a lot of places that Kubota made improvements to this tractor, and a lot of improvements that we're really excited about. If you look at the generations of the BX series tractors starting in the early 2000s, most of the releases of the tractor were only a handful of changes, just small iterations over the years. And for a long time we've said to Kubota, hey, give us a lot, give us something really different that we can go back to that guy that has a BX from the original series, a BX30 or a BX00 series tractor, and really offer them something new and something more to entice them to upgrade. And we're really happy that it looks like this time Kubota actually did that. There's a lot of changes on this tractor that are going to open it up into new markets and new abilities, with the addition of things like a skid loader, quick coupler, and some new efficient systems to remove backhoes and loaders that really should interest some new people into upgrading into this model. So we're going to work our way from the front of the tractor to the back, and we're just going to do a quick walk through here and point out the individual changes that have happened on the tractor. If you're interested in seeing these things in more detail, for instance, the process of taking the loader off, we'll do further videos on those here in the future showing individual processes that have changed. But at this point, we're just going to walk through and look at the different features. The biggest changes have really happened on the loader and the backhoe itself. If you look here on the loader, you can see on the back side of the bucket, you can now get an available skid steer quick coupler on a BX series tractor. This is really cool and is really going to open guys up to a lot of new possibilities. Skid steer couplers have become virtually standard equipment across most of the tractors that we sell now, simply because it opens you up into a huge variety of implements that you can put on the front of the tractor from all kinds of different manufacturers that all support the skid steer coupler. So you can see now Kubota's offering that on a BX series tractor. You are going to want to be a little bit cautious about the things that you put on here, being that this is a universal coupler. There are all kinds of things you should not put on the front of this tractor. So if you have options or questions about a particular attachment, do make sure you're checking with us or your local dealer. As we move back through the rest of the loader here, you'll see some new linkage that sits on the inside of the loader, and that's for the quick park system. You can now raise the loader up in the air, lower the parking stand, and release the loader from the tractor, all without leaving the seat. So that's really cool. No more hopping off, lowering down parking stands, pulling pins, getting back on again. It can now all be done from the operator station. Around the other side over here, in order to make that a truly seamless process without leaving the seat, on the inside of the loader here, there's a manifold for all of the hydraulic hoses. So in order to release this loader now, you have a single lever coupler in order to release all the loader hoses, just like we do on some big ag tractors. On those machines, that's typically a $600 to $800 option, and somehow Kubota's managed to do that on an everyday subcompact loader at no additional cost. So that is really cool and really awesome work by somebody in the engineering department that was able to work that out. We always have a lot of conversation about the hood designs on Kubota's machines as well. Kubota is quite famously at this point very committed to making metal tractors and not plastic ones. One improvement that's also been made on this tractor is that this is a one-piece hood assembly now, as opposed to having side panels with a top piece that pops this direction. The whole thing now rolls forward. If I have one complaint and one thing I think could be a little bit better on this machine, it's the grill guard up here in the front. This folds front to allow the hood to come front, but this piece right here in the middle seems to me could be a little bit more durable. It's not something that's going to break, but given the steel on the rest of the tractor, there's just this stamp piece isn't quite as heavy duty as some other parts. Once you folded that front, then you can pull this latch here to release the hood, which then simply flips front. One thing I did find myself doing the first time I came over here to this tractor is grab this latch and pull it out the way that the arrow indicates. It actually needs to come out and up at the same time. So you need to pull out and up to release the hood and not just yank the thing straight to the side. Once that folds front, you have the same D902 engine that Kubota's used in this machine for a long time down here underneath the hood, with a very similar setup for the radiator and air cleaner that the older BX series tractors used. The radiator on these machines pulls this direction past your feet and then into the engine, so your screens for cleaning are right back here. One nice thing about that design is that the air is filtered before the engine by both this screen, coming through the radiator section in here before getting to the air cleaner. So a lot of the larger debris and stuff that you could be pulling straight into the air cleaner and other designs is eliminated by coming through this screen first. Several refinements have been made to the operator's platform up here as well. Most notably is the loader control stick. This is now integrated right into the side fender, and your hand sits right here off the side very comfortably off the edge of the operator's platform. You'll notice too when I move this around, some of these shorter throw levers sometimes are pretty difficult to move, and this one seems to move without a lot of resistance, so that's great. Another thing I really like too is the way that this is constructed. The valve body itself is actually way up here underneath the fender. Sometimes you'll notice on competing manufacturers when they do valves like this, sometimes the valve bodies will end up down beneath the deck of the floor or up in the front of the tractor, suspended by cables, and this doesn't use cables. This is actually pulling right against the valve body itself, so you don't have cables to stretch or tear or any of that kind of stuff, and it keeps all the guts of this up out of the way and not exposed to the underside of the tractor. The couplers as well, exactly the same thing. Rather than sticking the couplers down at the foot of the deck, the couplers are up here behind the loader post, protected from debris or anything that could come up and hit them. As we continue to work around the rest of the controls up here, my 3-point hitch control is right down here. I have a lock for the loader stick, a slot that a rear remote would fit through, control for my 4-wheel drive, and a range selector to go between low and high range. These functions all have existed on the older tractors before, but you'll just notice some ergonomic improvements in the way that they've been laid out on the fenders. Over on my left-hand side, I now have a cup holder with a 12-volt DC socket inside of it. Some of the older tractors have had 12-volt sockets on, but usually they've been down here, which is fine. It gives you a place to plug stuff in, but then wires are coming up past your feet. And we've also noticed if you leave these things sit out and they get wet, they tend to corrode really easily. Most of the controls around your feet are relatively unchanged from the old tractor. Kubota is still using the forward and reverse throttle pedal, parking brake latch that's down on your feet, dials for your mower height and your 3-point hitch drop speed, and diff lock are all relatively unchanged from the old series. The floor mats look almost exactly the same. The operator's platform around your feet seems relatively unchanged. Several things did change up on the dash though. It's now a new key. It's a little bit more durable than the smaller plastic key that was used before. The tilt steering wheel is now incorporated into this, so you have a control on the steering wheel itself allowing you to tilt it up and down. It kind of makes the tractor more comfortable to operate depending on whether you're sitting very far forward or back. The dash has also been upgraded as well. The new graphics are a little bit more brighter, a little bit easier to read. And one thing that I really like is that they have ranges marked on here for where you should be operating your attachments. Guys are frequently asking how fast do I have to run my engine in order to operate my loader or the backhoe. That's now marked here on the tack, which is a really nice option and should eliminate some questions. Much of the BT603 backhoe remains pretty unchanged from the BT602 that was on the BX25. The design of the hoe looks very, very similar. One thing that did really change is the way the backhoe attaches to the tractor. So if you look back here underneath the fender, there's now 2 locking column clamshells that would lock around this pin in order to hold the backhoe in place. A very, very similar design to this was used on the old BX23, and in the case of that tractor, that system actually worked really well until it would start to get dirty and not function quite as well. The reason why Kubota decided to make a change like this is because many guys don't take their backhoe on and off of these tractors very frequently, and what you'll find is if the hoe doesn't come off and the pins aren't removed and lubricated, eventually they'll start to want to seize up and not come out very easily. So this system, we're told, now is going to be more reliable and also open. You know, if you haven't had the thing off in the last year, it'll open easier and come off the tractor a lot easier than having to try to wiggle out a pin that hasn't budged in years. Another change that's happened back here in the backhoe is the addition of a flat face coupler. You can see now when I pop this hydraulic hose out, this fitting here and this piece back here are flat face couplers. And these are couplers that are typically found on more expensive construction equipment. The reason why they're preferred is because as soon as this thing pops open, this is covered up. There's no cap that needs to go over top of this in order to keep dirt and debris out. It automatically snaps flat. They also connect with a little bit of pressure in them easier than what a regular hydraulic coupler does. So you simply line the coupler up on top of each other and give it a push and it'll snap right back into place. That compares a lot better to the older Pioneer coupler style that frequently when they get pressure in them is a lot more difficult to connect than what a flat face can be. So that's the new Kubota BX23s. For other videos on this tractor showing the processes of removing the loader and the backhoe and some operation videos that we'll do, subscribe to our YouTube channel for future videos. If we can help you with a machine like this, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com.